A very loud start here for the Island Challenge Cup between Radcliffe Crew B over on the Berkshire Station and Northeastern University nearest to us that were making all that noise on the start, banging the side of the boat. Two big US giants here going up against each other in this fairly new event, the Island Challenge Cup for student women's eights. And my word, I love this event, Tom.
It's fantastic. What an introduction this was to Henley Royal Regatta on the roster. Northeastern, they're at an interesting point in the river at the moment, just watching them as they move out into the middle, coxed by Skylar Shea. I'm surprised the umpire hasn't deemed it necessary to get involved here because they are right out into the middle of Northeastern, and at the moment taking advantage of that. But your point around the start sequence there, Camilla, is such an interesting one, the juxtaposition between the two crews. One crew full of boisterousness, full of noise, the other silently waiting, biding their time to spring the trap. At the moment, though, that sort of louder, more active style from Northeastern paying dividends.
Well, and it's definitely translating into their rowing, isn't it? You can just see the difference and the aggression that they've got here on the near side of the picture in this black, red and white strip of Northeastern. That aggression in the sprinting stages, the opening, what would you say, 400, 500 metres. It's got them off to a rocketing start, and it really is kind of lots of power, lots of brawn here that's shifting them ahead of the crew from Radcliffe, Radcliffe Harvard this is, from Boston, Massachusetts. Northeastern, this is a bit of a derby, isn't it, also from Boston? Yeah, both rowing on the Charles, both Boston-based, so these boats will know each other, I'm sure, very, very well indeed. Radcliffe over here because legendary coach and sort of trailblazer of female sport, Liz O'Leary, is retiring this year as head coach of the Harvard Radcliffe program, so they're over in tribute to her legacy. But unfortunately, this boat on the right-hand side of your picture not able to keep up with the fierce pace set down by Northeastern. And Camilla, we talked about this pre-regatta, about how excited we are to see the Island Challenge Cup just continue to grow year on year. We thought it might have a teething stage, a couple of years to get started, maybe then the big US programs would come over and try their hand, but it's been almost instantaneous. We've had just such amazing interest and cultivation of talent here. Yeah, the floodgates have really opened for the island this year, haven't they? We've got so many international crews, notably from the US, all entering. Some big programs contesting this later throughout the week. Princeton and various others, but Northeastern here are the program to talk about in this round of the Island Challenge Cup. They were the first place varsity 8 at the CAA Conference Championships, 6th place at the varsity 8 Eastern Sprints, so a bit of pedigree in this crew. It's certainly one that looks very strong, but again, like we talked about, into the headwind conditions, into the stream conditions, that often is what prevails in a lot of circumstances. If your crew sort of is able to match up to the conditions and row them well, I think this will have fallen quite heavily in Northeastern's favour. Look, rowing as a sport is fundamentally about how you are able to deal with prevailing conditions, and it's sure to me that Northeastern, who obviously are open weight girls, they have more horsepower. These conditions are going to suit them better than the lightweights from Radcliffe Harvard. And at the moment, it's hard really to argue with what we're seeing in front of us, Camilla. It is Northeastern who just have that extra horsepower. They've got that gear that Radcliffe just don't seem to have. Yeah, and again, once you've got the drive and the power, if you think about, if you were doing squat jumps, right, on the ground, if you've got power to be able to jump from the floor as high as you can, that power to spring you up, but do it at this kind of low rating, you'll get more distance when you're doing your squat jumps if you've got more power up in the air than if you've got less, right? And that's exactly how the rowing, sort of style works. Whereas for the lightweights, I think it's more rather than less, right? They get their sort of distance by taking more strokes per minute rather than relying on that springy power to give them that distance. Well, look, I haven't done a squat jump in about a decade, so I'm probably not the best testimony here. But the reality is that analogy is beautiful, and that's exactly what rowing is about, is that spring that you said earlier, that unhinged power coming out. And I was thinking about this earlier, this ability to paddle past the stewards and really unleash the legs, but enjoy yourself as you come through the stroke. Such a privilege for Northeastern to be able to do this in front of a packed-out enclosure. They've also got a really nice pause around the finish of the stroke, which is when the oar, the blade, comes in towards the body and you take it out of the water. They've got a little pause pause there just to let the boat gather underneath them, and they can really enjoy that, because the later stages of the regatta, when they're pushed a little bit harder, they'll need to hang on to that as they go up through the ratings. The lightweights from Radcliffe Crew, this is their B crew in this Island Challenge Cup event, will move through in second place, but second place unfortunately not good enough here at Henley Royal Regatta, and it will be Northeastern in the Island Challenge Cup heat here at Henley Royal Regatta.